Perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to start a little bit 1 minute before, but this is Linnea here, and we're going to go over translations today. I do think that this call is not going to take that full hour, and so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I know that the operation is always busy, and if it's not busy, then you have fewer people there, so it feels busy. So thank you again. Now I have muted the call, so again, if you need any questions or anything like that, just type them into the Q&A field, and we'll kind of get started there. So we're starting off, obviously, with translations. You hear my voice, Linnea. You heard it a lot yesterday, and you'll be hearing it quite a bit as we move on into our training and we move from Intellity to Iris. So thank you again for your feedback and all of your information, and we'll keep going. So we have Yuki, obviously, as well, and we have Melissa. So the three of us will be your training team here at corporate and making sure that this transition goes well for all of you. So the content today, again, this will be a very quick and easy call. There's not that much to review, but it is very important in terms of breaking down your menu and obviously kind of just breaking down the work and making it so you can kind of, bite off bits and pieces and make sure that you're successful. So we're going to go through the timeline again. We'll go through how to create translations. We'll go through activating translations, next steps, and any questions you might have. Again, you'll type those questions in, and I will start from there. So starting off with the timeline, obviously we had that kickoff call yesterday. Thank you to everyone who joined us. And we had that training number 1. Today, May 8th, we'll go over those translations. Over the next several hours, you will have received your emails from Iris. This is going to that food and beverage lead that was signified on that SurveyMonkey. Now, there are a couple of properties that did not fill out that SurveyMonkey. You just received an email from me. If you have any issues or need anything, just let me know. But again, obviously, today's May 8th. Next week, we'll have training call number 2 where we'll go through various items. And then May 21st, we have the training call number 3. And then June 4th, obviously, you'll see there's that 2-week gap that you do have. And then we'll have that training call number 4. And then June 10th, that last call. So really, you have about 5 weeks to build out your menu. So lots of time. And hopefully, you'll feel supported throughout the whole thing. And let me know if you don't. So just jumping right into the translations for today, this just shows you, very similar to yesterday, you'd go to that content management, you'd click on translations, and then you'd see at the top under content that nothing has been selected, as well as the language, nothing has been selected. Once you are in that, you can click on the drop down for content and choose what portion of the menu you want to translate. So for instance, today I will show you what that looks like for an attribute as well as a modifier, but you'll be doing this in the future for your items as well and sections and categories. You then would choose the language that you want to translate to. So this depends on the language that you offer on your website. So really this is for your multilingual properties. So, if you are in Bogota, you're obviously going to want to translate into Spanish just to make sure that they're taken care of. If you are in Hong Kong, you'd obviously have Chinese as well as, I presume, a couple of other languages available as well. So really for your multilingual properties. So once you click that drop down, you'll see all of the items that you do need to translate. And then in this case, after selecting it, you'd be able to see how much you've completed. So for instance, here you see that dish is. You would click on that. It opens you up to that item attribute, and you see on the right-hand side the items that have been translated. So it'll say in English, dish is. You'll then obviously instead type in plato es, and then you continue on to say gluten-free, sin gluten, dairy-free, sin lacteo, and you'd continue on. Once you're done doing your translations, you'd press save, and you would know that you did this properly, that in the main screen it says dish is, and that obviously that it's 100% translated. So pretty simple. And then once you've obviously completed this for all of your modifiers and attributes that you need, because you're only going to do those within this next week, kind of just to break it up bit by bit. Once you've completed that, you'll click save and you'll be all set. So just to show you an example, so this shows a modifier. So if I went that same thing, I went to the translations and I chose the content item modifier and then the language Spanish. I then see here beverages, choice of milk, and that nothing has been translated. From there, it opens up once I've selected it, and you can then obviously translate from Spanish the various items of milk. So that's cream, your whole milk, skim milk, or whatever you offer on property. Once you've done so and you've clicked save, back in that main screen, you would see that 100% it's been translated. Moving on to an example of an item translation, you won't be doing this in the next week because you have not built your menu items yet, but in the future this will be helpful. And just a reminder, if you do have any questions, just type them into the Q&A field. That will be very helpful. So continuing on, you would open this up. This is just an example with cookies and chocolate milk. So we have galletas y leche chocolatada, and then obviously just below the short description. Again, the choose two cookies accompanied by chocolate milk, you would translate that to the appropriate language. So now that I've rattled this all off, what does this look like in a live demonstration? I'll show you in my screen. So I'm now in my Google Chrome. I'm actually just going to go to the sandbox setting. That's the play setting for me for Iris. I'm going to go and I'm going to pretend that I am the Four Seasons Hotel San Francisco. If you're on the line, thank you so much. This is not your real environment. So now that I am here, I can go to Content Management. I scroll down to my translations. Once this opens up, I want to choose the content that I want to translate. So I'm going to look here and I want to do my item attribute because for some reason in San Francisco, I really want to translate into Spanish. Now, San Francisco is actually a singular lingual property, so they will not be doing this translation, but this is just an example, so it's fake. So once this is in here, I have the item attribute and Spanish. I can click on Dish Is. I see that 0% has been translated, and in this, I obviously can translate. So again, I would say plato es, and obviously you see that I've done this before. I would say sin gluten. I could say sin lácteo. And then obviously I would continue on and complete that. I would then click Save. And back in that main screen, it would show the percentage translated. Now, because this is a sandbox environment, it's showing this 100%. In the live environment, it will show the actual percentage of what you've touched. But this is just a little bit of what this looks like for an item attribute. Now, let's say, though, I wanted to look at my modifiers, and that's another example. So again, I can just click here. I've done the item attribute because there will only be one set of attributes for each property. So very simple to translate. I can go to item attribute. Instead, I want to go to my modifier. I'm in modifier. I see that I want to translate beverages choice of juice. I can click on this. I see that 0 has been done. I see choice of juice. I'm going to delete that. And then obviously you can see that I did this earlier today. I have my opciones de jugo. So it's going to prompt you if you have typed things in. So obviously it does have that functionality. But then obviously jugo de manzana. And then I'm going to have jugo de pomelo, jugo de naranja. And then once I am done, I can click Save. And I see that obviously 100% has been done. So perfect. So you're going to continue to do this for all of your modifiers if you are a multilingual property. So, and if you are a multilingual property and you have more than one other language, so let's say you are in Seoul and you have English, you have Mandarin, you have Korean, maybe you have French or you have Cantonese, you will have to obviously translate those. So if I was in Athens, I would just have Greek along with my English. So back in that main screen, let me just make sure here. Back in that main screen, we're now going to move into the activating translations. Perfect. And now in activating these translations, it's very simple as well. You would navigate to your property in GXP and go to Setup, System Operational Settings. From there, you scroll to that Available Languages and you click on Select. From there, you'll be able to add a language from the left-hand column into the right-hand column and click Save. Now, let's say you accidentally click the wrong language. You can always click on it on the right-hand side. It will move right back over to the left. From there, you can, once you click Save, you can obviously change your default settings as well. So you'll be able to do that. So what does this look like in a live demonstration? I will show you. Perfect. So back in my Iris screen, I can go here to Setup. I go to my System Operational Settings. I can scroll down and I see this Select. I click Select and I want to add Spanish. Let's say I accidentally click Japanese. I would just go back over, click on that, and it moves right back. I then click Save. And it doesn't default automatically. Let's say I wanted to change Spanish to my default language. So that means anytime anyone opens up your in-room dining portion, that would be in Spanish. I would click Yes to Spanish, and then I click Save right here at the top. Do that. Now let's say all of a sudden I don't want to have Spanish there. I can go into my Select again. I can remove it, click Save, and click Save again. So really that save at the top, making sure that obviously everything is taken care of. Perfect. So an important note, you are going to be building these out right now as you continue to build your menu. But when we go live, the 2 languages that are supported will be English and Simplified Chinese languages. Additional languages will be added later. So I know that seems maybe like, why am I building my translations right now? It's actually so you don't do double work later. So once you build out your translations this time, and we do have that availability, we're going to be able to push that out. So your app and your in-room dining is going to be taken care of. So definitely important to build right now, and just to make sure that you can kind of take bite-sized pieces of doing your menu. So obviously the attributes and the modifiers this week as you do that. Perfect, and I hope that makes sense. So from there, the next steps. So today you are receiving those emails from Iris to obviously validate your food and beverage lead. They can then build out your various editors and publishers, which is very important. So if you don't get that email by 5 p.m. Eastern time tonight, please let us know. And again, I have manually sent those for the properties that did not complete the survey. So you'll obviously receive that, and then in the next week, you'll be inheriting the brand level attributes, inheriting the brand level modifiers, and then you'll be creating the additional property specific modifiers, creating the translations for attributes, and creating the translations for modifiers. Now, next week, May 14th, we'll be covering items, categories, and sections, and those times for those calls will be 8 a.m., 2 p.m., and 9 p.m. Eastern time. We do suggest the in-room dining manager as well as the assistant managers or anyone who's doing content joins us, or at least one person, so that they can obviously disseminate the information to the team. And then obviously the director of food and beverage, they are optional. If you do have questions, just send that into the mobile app help desk at fourseasons.com. Just let us know, and we'll be able to assist and make sure that you're fully taken care of. So now I will open the floor up to questions. I know that this was quite simple and very understandable, but please type in your questions into that Q&A field, and I will be able to answer those now. Perfect. I do have a question here about, did I already send yesterday's presentation slides? I did. That was sent to the in-room dining managers all properties list, and I can double check if you are on it, Jose. This was obviously the information that we collected last week. And then so that was sent out last night at around maybe 9:45 Eastern Standard Time. So that went to all in-room dining managers as well as the directors of food and beverage, but I will forward one on to you just in case, just to make sure you have it. I'll also be sending an output email this evening from this call. It will have everything that I said, as well as the training deck, as well as the working document for the Q&A. So you'll get a full Q&A document that we'll just keep adding on to, so you can have it. Another question from Mohammed, will each area add their local language to the app? Yes. So Mohammed, that is a manual translation that you are doing on property. So if you have Arabic at your property, you'll obviously want to translate to Arabic. Double check with your PR and IT team as to your multi-languages offered on your website, just so you're not doing translations unnecessarily, and just making sure that obviously that's all set. If you need any other assistance, obviously just let us know in that mobile app help desk. But yeah, it'll just be what is offered on your website if you are a multilingual property. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. Perfect. Perfect. I have another question from Julio. How will the guests see the translations in the app? So actually on the app, it will prompt them to choose their language that they want to use. So they're then going to be prompted to use their full app in Spanish and therefore in-room dining in Spanish. They'll be prompted by basically choosing their language from the main screen. So that's how they're going to see those translations. They won't see them, both languages won't show simultaneously. Perfect. Mohammed, I don't, if you want to send in that question one more time, perfect. And wonderful. I can't fully understand the question. If you can reword that, thank you. And this kind of deck on how to do this has not been sent out yet. This information for the translations will be sent out this evening. What has been sent was how to inherit attributes and modifiers and build modifiers. I'll wait a couple more minutes just to see if there are any other questions coming through. Perfect. I think this seems like it's good, but I'm also one of those kinds of people that I need to digest the information before I have questions. So if you are like me, please send them into the mobile app help desk. Again, Melissa, Yuki, and I will respond and make sure that you're taken care of. And enjoy today, and let us know if you don't get those IRIS emails by 5 p.m. Eastern time, because we can manually send them to you just so your whole team can obviously have the rights they need to start building their menu and make this a seamless process. Thank you all for taking the time today, and have a lovely afternoon. And I do have one last question. What time is the next call? Eva, if you're talking about the next call for today, that will be at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Then next week, the 14th, is 8 a.m. Eastern time. I'll send a note about that. And then Mohammed, the question, when must you be ready with translations? The translations for attributes and modifiers, those should be done by next week. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a lovely day.